This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Well, all right. I'm Mark Goodman.
And I am Alan Light.
On this episode of Sound Up, UK rockers Sydney Ray White and Rob Kendrick of the Wild Things drop by to discuss their upcoming album Afterglow, which was produced by our friend and rock and roll legend Pete Townshend.
Plus, the Olympics came to an end on Sunday with a musical handoff from Paris over to the next location, Los Angeles, and featured performances from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, Billie Eilish, and others.
We also have music news on Miley Cyrus getting honored by Disney, and Taylor knocking Kanye out of the #1 spot after just 1 week.
And as always, we'll have our own new music picks of the week.
Before we get into news, we've got this email from Pod Squad member Zerbity Blurb. I got to say it this time, Alan.
I know, I'm a little jealous, but it's okay. We need to share.
But I'm only a Temple grad. You're a Yale grad. It's okay for me to say Zerbity Blurb.
It's funnier when I say Zerbity Blurb.
I think so.
I think it's pretty funny regardless.
So Zerbity Blurb writes, I took my 16-year-old to see Fish, his first ever show, nearly 30 years to the day when I first saw them. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. He's morphed into a metalhead, but I saw the glow in his eyes by the second song, and by the end of the second set, the grin was ear to ear. Sorry, kid, you're hooked now for life. He'd mentioned that he wanted to see Green Day, Pumpkins, Rancid a few weeks ago, so I kept my eyes open for tickets. I hate stadium shows as they're always ridiculously expensive and typically sound like poop, but I'll take any excuse to go to Fenway Park no matter how uncomfortable the seats are. Found tickets day of for about $100 each with fees in right field behind the pesky pole. There's a pole in right field? I wasn't aware of that.
It's got to be the foul pole, yeah.
Foul pole, yes, pesky pole. Landmark of Fenway.
Terrible seats for a game, but good seats for a concert as you're facing center field. Due to work commits and traffic, we missed most of Rancid, which we were pissed about. The Pumpkins were phenomenal. So tight. All the rage is still in the cage. And most importantly for me, Jimmy Chamberlain is better than he's ever been at 60. Still riding that high of the performance days later, I'd say I'm a casual Green Day fan. Dookie was released when I was 17, so I do have a fondness for the record and remember the vast majority of the minor songs on the record. One thing that needs to be said is that they put on one hell of a show and work it until the wheels come off. However, I could do without the incessant Freddie Mercury Sting sing-along, ooze. Once or twice is all right. Not every fucking song. All in all, perhaps, I've changed my tune on stadium shows. Yes, they're big, bloated, cash sodomizing events, but they do accomplish something in the best of hands. They make 40,000 plus people feel connected and more alive than they did before. Late summer hugs and kisses, Zerbity Blurb, with cynicism on full display.
A life-affirming review from Zerbity Blurb. That's totally fair.
No question.
We've talked about it before. I don't hate stadium shows. I hate getting to and coming back from stadium shows. But I don't hate the shows if you're able to make it work and you get the power of 50,000 people all focusing their energy in one place. I think that can be a really powerful thing. Doesn't mean everybody can do it. You got to earn it. As we've said, there's a lot of people out there playing stadiums right now that I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off at that scale. But I'm glad that he's at least converted to being open to the experience.
Right.
You know, I had the same complaint, though, last time I saw Green Day live. And it wasn't a stadium, it was an arena. But every song became a hold the mic up to the crowd, hey, back and forth. Every song for a decent amount of the song. And I was like, this is not punk rock.
I feel like there must be something when you're certainly when you're in a stadium, but even when you're in, like a hockey rink, 18,000, there's got to be part of you that wants to make sure to reach out and get these people with you, to get them involved. And it's more than just sing-alongs, I guess. But
plus, it's got to be a powerful thing to feel, right? Remind me what's great about this song. Like, I'm tired of it, but it still makes 20,000, 40,000 people get excited, know all the words, and connect to it. That's got to be a rewarding thing for all of the churn of what a tour is, and especially all the logistics of what a stadium tour is, that humanizes it.
Right.
I would think.
I've been to shows, stadium and otherwise, where I don't want everybody singing along. I came to see the band.
Also that.
It's like, come on.
Not what I paid my money for.
Right.
I have to hear you sing.
I guess while we're thinking about stadium shows, shall we? Shall we talk about the ultimate stadium show or on Sunday night, the closing of the Olympics? See, oh my God. And there is a lot to talk about with it. We're talking just about the experience of any kind of stadium show. Alan, you're saying, and I get it, if there is sometimes people can make it like a communal experience. It takes work. But how do you think this one did? And how many people are in that stadium?
They said 70,000. I know on
it seemed like 500,000.
Yeah, it seemed enormous. That was the number they seemed to be using. I don't know what the count is, but
so how do you think those people did when they saw that little guy, the golden guy, coming down from? I'm like, wait, is that Gaga?
It is true for these events. How you scale for the room and how you scale for the broadcast. Right.
Yeah.
There may be 70,000 people there, but there's how many millions watching around the world. And that's what everything is arranged and choreographed and shot for.
Right.
That said, even in the room, seeing the piano hanging vertically with the guy playing it, was pretty awesome.
Oh my God. I was amazed. I mean, that whole thing, look, even the Golden Voyager. It was pretty cool.
Reassembling the Olympic rings, yes.
Yeah, and I thought it was, in a way, sort of sweet that we remember, the founding of this organization and this spirit, the Olympic spirit. So I thought in that way it was good.
I don't want to do the whole show talking about the past, 2 weeks of the Olympics, but I think I said this before after it started. It's just, I don't sit around the rest of the time thinking, wow, how much I'm looking forward to the Olympics. And then they happen, and you just remember they make everybody feel great. It just, everybody loves it. Everybody, no matter what, it should just be running on loop all the time, everywhere, like at a bus stop. They should just be running the Olympics all the time because you just stop and look at it and you feel good.
Not only that, but everyone automatically becomes an expert in every sporting event. I'm watching it going, oh, that dive was cracked. He's on the angle. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Those are the best too. You'll watch something like the diving or gymnastics, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And then the analyst comes on and is like, okay, here's 12 reasons that sucked.
They blew that one.
They'll never come back from a performance that bad. Like, all right, I have no idea what the hell I'm looking at. So anyway, we had a big production of a closing ceremony with a lot of music and glitz to it. So what are you going to remember from that?
I thought Phoenix was amazing. I like Phoenix, but I hadn't thought about them. And it didn't register until I saw them standing there. Oh yeah, they're a French band. Oh yeah. But the combination of them, and they sounded great. They did the hits. So that was cool. But to have the Air people show up and
Ezra from Vampire Weekend.
And that, I wasn't familiar with that guitarist.
Yeah, I don't know, other than he was wailing.
Noe Afira,
yeah,
who was that hooded guitarist.
The French Buckethead, yes.
Right, I was like, see?
Had you figured out how to say Buckethead in French, that would have been amazing.
And I was thinking, is that Alex Lifeson?
The French Buckethead, that's awesome.
But incredible. And again, everybody coming down from the ceiling.
Yes.
In this thing.
Or strutting around. Angèle, who I know from the Dua Lipa duet. I didn't know, Belgian singer, but she did the track on the Future Nostalgia reworking album. So yeah, you're not drawing from the greatest tradition of French rock and pop stars. Like, it takes a little work to put that together. That said, that all felt pretty fun.
I agree. I mean, again, it's meant to be an overblown, huge, massive ceremony. And I mean, crazy. I don't know who if you're listening at home, I watched all the athletes coming in too. And you would think that would be boring as hell, but damn, they looked so joyous, and everybody just coming together in that stadium. I think they achieved what they probably hoped.
Oh, I think everybody's going to look back at this as a hugely successful, again, coming off of the last one being delayed because of pandemic and then done without audience. Like, we haven't had that for a while. And it just felt like such a celebration.
But there's two parts to that closing ceremony. There's like this celebratory performances to close out the Olympics. And then there's this passing the torch to the next Olympics, where they bring in acts from the next city to host the Olympics, which will be
LA, man. I was surprised and delighted. I mean, look, let's back up a half a step. Snoop at the Olympics. Stop, check, please. I mean,
I'm sure you saw this figure. They were paying him $500,000 a day for that work.
No, I did not see that.
And what a bargain they got. If that's like one ad spot covers that, right? It's like 120 seconds of airtime. We'll pay that for the day. And he was the breakout star. And nothing made me laugh as much as the meme of the text saying, my mom keeps calling me to tell me how much she loves Snoop Dogg on the Olympics, and I have to keep reminding her that she grounded me when I bought his CD.
Perfect. He really, I mean, maybe we shouldn't have been surprised. He's been hanging out with Martha Stewart, and he's been doing all of these sort of out of the ghetto and into the world kind of vibe.
The two most beloved, wholesome figures at the Olympics were Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav.
Right? And Flav, how about Flav, helping out the
water polo team?
The water polo team,
yep.
Right. I mean, really, that kind of stuff was great. And I mean, the idea of it being in LA, very cool. But the idea they had Dre and Snoop up there to lean hard into that era in LA is gutsy, I think.
The world is a different place than it used to be.
Right?
That those guys are, pushing 60 years old, and that kind of, icon representation to the world of this is what California is all about. Like, that's what we're going to go with. And then there's the Chili Peppers.
Chili Peps too. Sounded great. Quintessential California at this point.
I think the Chili Peppers have taken the torch from the Beach Boys as the band that represents
the quintessential California band. More than the Eagles, more than the Beach Boys. I think that's probably true. Well,
because they mention California in every single song, so it helps a little.
I did have that thought of like, it's too bad that Brian Wilson is ailing as he were a few years ago. Give him, 2 minutes and do, California Girls or something in that handoff that would have been, sweet. Obviously, we're not there anymore, but I had the same thought.
Agreed.
Quick shout out, her. We've all heard the national anthem. I think they said 40 times because of 40 gold medals. So a little, nobody needed to hear that melody again. And yet she did great.
I was wondering what you guys thought about it, because as I listened, I thought so too, except usually I feel don't do runs all over the place on the national anthem. It's the national anthem. And yet she did it just right, I thought.
Yeah, it didn't feel excessive. Didn't feel like it worked. And we just have to quickly mention before we finish up, America's Eiffel Tower, Tom Cruise. In Paris, you get stuff from the Louvre, you get the Seine, you get the Eiffel Tower. We move to America and you get Tom Cruise jumping off a building.
And Snoop.
Snoop ain't jumping off a building.
I'll tell you, why not? Again, it's America. He's, who better
not just
to
America, it's LA.
America?
You are coming to Hollywood is what he was saying.
Right. That's what it said. You're coming to Hollywood for the next Olympics. And I mean, side note, I don't know, but were you thinking this guy is insane? What is with him?
That's what he does.
He really does that stuff. Him jumping out of the plane to land in LA he does that.
I will say the shot from above of him at the top of the stadium before he rappelled.
Yeah.
All worth it for that shot.
You weren't thinking Gaga? I was like, was that Lady Gaga?
Yeah, okay. Gaga not.
She did it first.
It's probably for the next Mission Impossible. And he's like, I'll kill 2 birds. Yeah, you could have it.
Right.
I'm using this footage.
We'll bake that shot.
Exactly.
Talk about shots, and then we could certainly move on. The shot of him backing out of the tail of that plane to parachute and him flipping. I mean.
By the way, where in California are they putting all of this stuff?
They've said, by the way, that they're not going to build any new structures. They're only going to use existing facilities for this.
How?
Yeah, I don't know how.
They got they got the SoFi Stadium. They got,
What, are they going to do gymnastics at the Rainbow?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's a great idea.
No, it should be synchronized swimming on Sunset Strip.
They can do the surfing a lot closer than having to farm out to Tahiti, for better or worse.
Right.
So there you go. Count them down.
4 years till the next Olympic game, the Summer Games.
Yes.
And also, did you see there was a story also about the environmental challenge to all of the cities in the future who are looking to host the Summer Games? There's some that it'll just be too hot there.
Yes. They've said by 2050,
yeah,
a lot of the places that have been used as locations, no more. Just not happening.
Terrifying. So. As if we needed another thing to underscore. Yes, climate change is real. Okay. What else do we have?
Back to Los Angeles for another piece of news. The Disney Legends ceremony also happened on Sunday evening, counter-programming to the Olympic ceremonies, with Disney fans flocking to the Honda Center in Anaheim. The finale to D23, a 3-day event dubbed as the ultimate fan experience with panels, showcases, and much more. Basically DisneyCon. Right? That's what this was. And the Legends ceremony honored 14 icons, including Jamie Lee Curtis, Angela Bassett, Harrison Ford, and your girl, Miley Cyrus. The reason we were going to push this in here is Miley was the youngest Disney legend honored to date. And the performance, here's what I didn't know. For the performance, they called on newly minted country superstar Lainey Wilson, who got her start performing as a Hannah Montana impersonator.
I had no idea.
Yep.
I've missed that part of the story. So she was brought in to perform the show's theme song, The Best of Both Worlds, which she did wearing a bedazzled denim outfit and a white cowgirl hat over her long blonde wig, let's assume, much like Hannah Montana's. Lainey Wilson told the audience it was truly a dream come true. And Miley Cyrus delivered a tearful speech when she was honored. She mentioned a different song from her show, This Is the Life, saying that sentiment still rings true today. I stand here still proud to have been Hannah Montana because she made Miley in so many ways.
All right, so what else do we have in music news? Taylor Swift back in for a musical reason rather than for some really scary reason. Taylor is back. She scored another week at #1 and a victory over Kanye West. How sweet it is for Taylor Swift. The Tortured Poets department celebrates its 14th week on top of the Billboard album chart, the Billboard 200, and it moved another 142,000 equivalent album units to retain the top spot on the chart from this upcoming week, the 17th. Insane.
Feels like we've been living with Tortured Poets for longer than that, doesn't it? But I believe the numbers. I think I read somewhere that there are 7 albums that it blocked from #1 that have either come in or gotten to #2, but it held off in that time, which sounds about right.
Yeah, I would love some research into this phenomenon. I mean, it seems to go beyond she's just a superstar. I mean, there were people who were bitching about that album. There was too much music on it, and yet here it is 14 weeks later.
I have no idea how much. I mean, obviously there were all of the multiple vinyl versions, and I mean a lot of juicing the numbers through how committed the fans are. And if you keep putting out different variations on it, they'll keep buying those. But whatever it is, they keep, she did another remix of Fortnite that came out. That was, there was that. There was moving toward a second single for I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. And of course, shows, cranking back up in Europe. So it doesn't stop. The momentum doesn't stop. As the tour comes back to the States in the fall, only a couple of shows in the States. There's Miami is coming, and then Canadian dates to close out. We'll be approaching the end of the tour, and it'll be back in North America. The noise is only going to get louder.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll be football season.
Oh boy!
Because of the double album, all the remixes and everything, does this one have a diamond status shot?
No, I mean, does it have a shot? I think it's got a long way to go to get there. I don't think it's doing those numbers. There does seem to be a ceiling. Even the big Taylor albums, there does seem to be a ceiling in the 6-7 million sorts of numbers. I don't know that anything's gone. Now this is the double, so there's in stats that go up for that. But
she does have a couple diamond albums, right?
Oh, I don't think there's a diamond album.
I don't think she has any, does she?
Really?
So. I don't believe so.
That's surprising.
Well, in that case, damn it, this one deserves to go diamond.
Well, we'll see where we go. But look, I'm headed back not next weekend, but the following for my niece's bat mitzvah. And the Bat Mitzvah Party is a special screening of the Eras movie.
Oh, boy.
the tour film, the concert film, complete with different activities for different eras, matching colors and different things.
This is like a whole new thing. The Taylor Party?
The Taylor Party, you go on and you start buying the friendship bracelets and the 22 fedora and the, all the stuff. Shows no sign of stopping.
Yeah, and that's like money in the bank, right? That we're dealing with
somebody,
kids. They're gonna be with her for like the next 20 years.
That's the magic.
That is the magic.
By the way, according to Forbes, Fearless was certified diamond.
Fearless went diamond? Okay.
And so did the song Shake It Off.
Yeah, there are songs that have done it. Maybe that's the only one. Fearless still catches you on enough of a CD buying. That was the second album that really like took her to the heights, and we're still in a CD era. So the physical numbers go there. Okay. Fair enough.
We love it. She is America's current sweetheart. She's outplaced Martha Quinn and Paula Abdul and people like
Esteemed
that.
Esteemed
list.
I would bet when she decides to put out, or if she decides ever to put out a greatest hits compilation, that will explode.
I guess I have no idea what that means that's just a playlist of stuff that everybody already has.
Right.
They'll buy it because of what it is, but I don't know if that gets you anything more.
I think it becomes, for people who collect vinyl and you like Taylor Swift, but you don't want to own all her records, you go buy that.
If you like Taylor Swift, you want to own all her records is really what it is, though. So, all right.
I would love to have been a fly on the wall in, her dressing room somewhere, one of these past concerts, or when she got this news. I would love to hear how good she felt bumping Kanye West, blocking him from the number one spot, especially with some of the lyrics that he has on this most recent song. So she was like, suck it, Kanye.
All she does is win.
All she does. All right, so I guess that's going to wrap it up for music news. When we come back, Rob and Sid of the band The Wild Things. If you haven't heard them, stay right here. You will. All right, welcome back. This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. The Wild Things began when frontwoman Sydney Ray White and lead guitarist Rob Kendrick met when they were cast as the two leads in the touring production of The Who's Quadrophenia. Along the way, the two fell in love and were married. They brought in Sid's brother, Cam, on bass and their friend Pete Wheeler on drums and put out their first album, You're Really Saying Something, in 2018. Since then, they've released a steady stream of singles and an EP, plus with the help of early supporter Pete Townshend, they've been working on an ambitious concept album called Afterglow, due out this fall. To give us a look inside the project, Sid and Rob are here with us on Sound Up. Welcome, Rob and Sid. Good to have you with us here on Sound Up.
Thank you.
Pretty excited about this fall release. There's tons of ground to cover with you guys. But I'll just, for laughs, I'll just start off with, you're working with a guy who is credited with inventing the concept album on your concept album. How did that idea begin for Afterglow? Did Pete contribute, or how has Pete contributed in that way?
To put it lightly, he's kind of shaped my adult life in a strange way, because I met Rob, who I'm now married to, because of Pete Townshend. And it was on this touring production of Quadrophenia, which that was the first time I left home. It was the first time I dealt with like money, adult money on my own. I wasn't with my parents. I was eating whatever I wanted, yada, yada. And it's kind of because of Townshend that not only did we get together, but we started a band and we started making music together, and because of Quadrophenia. So I think it was kind of a no-brainer that once we've already done one album that we just released ourselves, we wrote ourselves, but we were a very young band at the time, and we were just putting out music because we were new and we were excited, and we hadn't grasped the idea of a concept or a story or whatever you want to call it. But when it came to the second one, once we knew that Townshend wanted to be involved in some way, I think it kind of became, oh, well, if we're working with him, we might as well go big, right?
Step
you know what I mean?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. You can't just have like a bunch of songs that are just about whatever. It all had to kind of tie in. And, it also fell. We wrote some songs with him in the studio, or he produced some of these songs in the studio. The album wasn't finished yet, and then COVID hit, and then pandemic, and that wasn't, I'm not going to say it was a blessing, but it gave us time to kind of ruminate on what this would become, which then, given that time, Afterglow as a whole became a lot bigger. Am I right? Or are you?
No, I'm really proud.
Yeah.
Explain, because I think you've said that Afterglow is sort of a choose your own adventure, play a different secret. Like, how did you actually put this thing together? Especially in a world where we know, albums, whatever, who listens to albums?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the original way, I think, and Rob, please stop me if I'm saying it wrong. Like, that was kind of the original way that it formed, because we know that people don't traditionally listen to albums like they used to. We wanted to put this formula of a story that you could then put in order, any order that you wanted, to make sense of it while it's still coming to the same conclusion. So you can listen to one song, you can listen to all the songs, but they're all within the same universe. You can playlist it whatever order you want. It was kind of just so that we could put out into the world something that was maybe a bit different. We'd never heard of it being done before. We still don't think. Nobody come at me, nobody sue me if it has been done before, but we're saying it hasn't. So that was kind of our thing. And again, we were obviously very inspired by Pete and what he'd done, and we knew his music way before we knew him personally. We kind of, again, probably our egos wanted to match up to that and try and do something akin to what he did, but also a bit different,
You said something that is interesting for concept albums, which, I mean, the Pete Townshend concept album starts with an intro and the story is laid out and here's the, but yours is not like that. So how does that play for us? When you say you can listen to the tracks in any order, what is it about this story that allows that to happen? That, if you're reading a book, if you start in the middle, you don't know what's going on. So how does this work?
It's almost more of we were as influenced by television and short form stories as we were by albums. And when we were chatting to Pete about these songs, and he was talking about, he puts himself inside universes to then begin writing these sort of overarching stories. We kind of realized we were accidentally writing from a perspective that wasn't necessarily the perspective of a person, but more, we like to find a space and then think about the stories that sort of come out of that. So it actually, like, retroactively then became, we were writing about this town called Valentine, which we'd made up. And all these stories sort of started coalescing. And we were just like, wouldn't it be interesting if they were all happening at the same time? It's these stories, these heightened stories that all happen at the same time. And what does that do to each song? And what does that do to the listener? And the more we explored that, the more we thought, well, if we use the device, which we call the Afterglow, but it's the idea that there's this magical evening that happens where every emotion and all these sort of incredible events heighten everything, then what we could do is, in theory, give the audience like a series of choices and go, you can fall in love with this song because it's a story. Or if you fall in love with these two songs and you notice that it's raining in these stories, that rain's happening at the same time, you might fall in love with that. And what we really wanted to do was give the audience the agency to take ownership of what these songs are, because I think that's so important for people these days, and you see how tightly people hold on to artists and hold on to songs. And it eventually became our way of giving that back to people. So you can listen to the album as we do it, and you can hear the stories, or my dream or our dream is that you fall in love with this song more. So maybe that can go first. And then you see what happens to the rest of that stuff and what the emotional journey then becomes.
Well, it's funny because most people complain, people just cherry pick the songs that they like, or they listen on shuffle and they don't really appreciate. And I think you would say, well, if you listen on shuffle, you'll get a different experience each time that you go through this.
Exactly. Or if you only want to listen to like 3 or 4 of the songs, that's what we want as well. It's up for complete interpretation as to how you want it.
Yeah.
You guys come from not just an acting background, but continue to be acting, continue to be in different series you can see on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, Rob and Bridgerton. How has that side of your brain impacted thinking about putting an album together? Is that where you came to an idea as not through narrative, but as narrative driven as what this is.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
when you're acting, obviously you're playing a character, you're reading from a script. And I think when it came to songwriting, especially like our first record, we were obviously writing things from our perspective. But I think especially at the time that we started writing Afterglow, I don't want this to sound like super privileged, but we didn't have many problems. We were pretty happy. And no good writing really comes from that. You don't want to be like, yeah, I got some really cool deals at the supermarket today. You know what I mean? It's like, no one wants to listen to that. And I think, or maybe they do, each to their own. But I think the thing of writing from a different character's perspective or an entire story's perspective, it gives you the opportunity to create an entire universe within an album or a song or what have you, and then transfer that to stage as well. From a performing perspective, I find it so useful to kind of create characters when I'm singing. It shoots the nerves out the way, when you get on stage, because you're not being yourself, you're being somebody else, and you can completely sidestep away from your day-to-day person. I think for us, especially with this album, we're writing again at the moment. And I would say, again, this isn't necessarily music or songwriting from our perspectives. We're still in that journey of, what if this story was a thing, or this concept, or like being inspired from other stories that we've heard, as opposed to, again, writing it from our personal experiences.
Did you just say you're working on another concept album? Is that what I heard? I just want to be clear.
Maybe.
Head in hands.
I'm sorry, Rob.
All of this, we're talking about this, and a lot of these sound very high concept, very, this sounds very heady. You guys are a rock band.
Yeah.
Like, this is very physical, punchy rock music. It makes sense that it's you guys open for The Who on some of those dates. Like, all of that fits. Tell us the music side of all of this. I mean, you said you hadn't been in a band before. It was the Quadrophenia experience that brought you to this. If a lot of that stuff is coming from the acting and theater side, what's been the music piece that brings you to this point?
Well, I don't have like a musical family in that my parents are very musical, but Cam, who is my brother, who's also in the band, he is one of those musicians that can look at an instrument and be able to play it like that. I want to kill him. But, he's very, very talented in that respect. And then another one of my younger brothers is really musically talented. And I grew up, I've got 4 brothers. So I was always listening to like Green Day and Blink-182 and this kind of, rocky guitar-led bands and stuff. And I think that was always in my heart what I wanted to do. But the acting came first for me, because nobody really listens to a 9-year-old girl when she's at private school and she says, I want to pick up a guitar, Mum and Dad. They're like, no, you will play violin and you will like it. So it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And Quadrophenia, when it came along as a tour, I was so blessed to be doing rock music on stage every night. It was a no-brainer after that, especially because it's so good at training your voice. That album is a riot to sing. It sort of channeled into itself from the acting very naturally. And also, if there's any directors listening, please skip ahead 30 seconds. But I have a real problem with people telling me what to do. I don't like being directed. So being in a band meant that I could do it all myself. It's my words. It's my music. I can do what I want, So no one tells me what to do. Within reason in this band. So I'll listen to Townsend. I'll listen to Pete.
Well, as Alan was saying, I mean, you guys, you come from an acting background, not to say that you obviously you play instruments, you write, you sing, but does this wind up being now a left-hand turn for you guys? Because now you have a band, you have an album, you have to tour. Get ready. You'll be out for 2 years. How does Bridgerton think about that?
It's the dream. It's the dream.
It is the dream. I mean, again, I'm speaking for Rob here, but for me, this is always what I preferred doing anyway. Mm-hmm. I feel like you have a lot more freedom. You're certainly letting a lot more emotions out every night that you get to go on stage and play. It's a very cathartic thing. And I'm sure that is the case for a lot of actors as well. But I never found it truly cathartic. I was so focused, or am so focused if I'm doing a good enough job when I'm doing the acting, that I find it tough to get out of my own head. Whereas this, you just let go and you forget. And it doesn't matter how crap the gig was, you still have a good time afterwards. It's still great. So the dream is to kind of go off and then, hopefully the tour and the album's a massive success. And then, I don't know, a massive director comes and says, "Oh, be in my Marvel film." And you're like, "Cool, I'll do that for 3 months. That's fine." You know what I mean?
All mapped out. All mapped out.
I'm just putting it into the universe in case. But, I don't know. I said that was for myself. I didn't. Rob, do you feel different? Do you feel the same?
No, I feel exactly the same. Acting it's good. It's there's something very special about that acting. But I think when this opportunity to do this came around, and it wasn't really anything we had in mind, and then we all realized like we're all making music and loving making music together. It's just the immediacy of creativity and getting to share that with this like really tight band of brothers and sisters, and then getting to sort of all forms of creativity become a part of what that is. And then by the time you get to take it on stage, you get to look at people in the eyeballs who some of them are singing that back, some of them have never heard it before, some people you're winning over, some people already won over. And there's just this huge sort of a wave of connection, which is really, really, really overpowering and special. And I haven't found it anywhere else. So it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to be a musician, but when I found music, I realized that like we were meant to be together, basically.
2 other guests involved that my initial thought was, what do these people have to do with each other? And then my second thought was, well, Tommy Thayer from Kiss and drag icon Trixie Mattel. And then I thought, well, makeup.
They both wear makeup.
Theatricality.
Yeah.
This actually works just fine. So tell us, how did both of these relationships and collaborations come to pass?
Both kind of by sheer bullying. We have a knack of bullying people into our lives. I mean, quite frankly, that's how we kept in touch with Townshend. After the tour of Quadrophenia, I had stolen his email address. So I was just sending him demos all the time. I'm sure he was like, get out of my emails. But, you don't ask, you don't get. And the same thing happened with Tommy. We were invited to do the Kiss Cruise in 2022 in October. It was Halloween.
Just pause.
I know.
Invited to do the Kiss Cruise.
It's still a mystery.
Yeah.
we still don't quite know the full story of how or why.
Yeah, we thought it was a joke.
We thought it was a joke. We got the email through at like 10 p.m. at night in the UK, and we were like, Kiss Cruise? Nah, this is a scam. Like, absolutely not. But we didn't really believe it until we got on the boat, and then we were like, oh, cool, this is pretty sick. And, we knew we were a band from the UK. At the time, we'd done, I think it was 1 show in the US. No, we'd done our own show. So it was 2 shows in the US, and we'd done a big show with The Who. And we knew, or we suspected, a lot of people weren't going to know who we were. So we wanted to make a big impression. I think we were one of the only bands that dressed up for Halloween. We were David S. Pumpkins and the Skeletons from SNL, which, that was fun. But Tommy was kind of, at one point, he was just hanging out in the artist lounge. And I was like, now is the time. Nobody's talking to him. We have to go and talk to him and make an impression. We were like, are you coming to our show? Turns out that Kiss's lodgings, if you will, were right above the pool deck stage. So they'd heard our first show on the boat, which was on the pool deck stage. And he said he'd loved it. He heard we were playing a song called Only Attraction, which is on the album Afterglow. And he was like, that sounds like The Who, man. And we were like, funny you say that, Tommy. And we got to be buddies. And then they came to the last show that we had on the boat. Him, Paul Stanley, and Doc were there watching from the sidelines. Very blessed.
The Kiss manager, for those who don't know.
I just dropped it like a first name basis there. I'm like, yeah, my buddy Doc. And after that show, they invited us on the UK Kiss tour, the final one. And in between those dates on the tour, we have a home studio, which we're in at the minute. And we invited Tommy to come here and write some stuff. And we're really buddy now. We take him to the pub, It's a lot of fun.
Well, aren't you two so cool?
Whereas Trixie, on the other hand, that was kind of by, again, bullying, but also sheer luck. We did this thing called the Singles Club during COVID, where we were uploading acoustic covers of songs that we as individual band members really like. And I have been a big fan of Trixie's and her folk music for many, many years. And we did one of her songs, which is called Red Side of the Moon. And somebody on Instagram obviously sent it to her, and she got up in our DMs, and we basically bullied her into recording it properly with us. It took a long time, and it took some very expensive flights back and forth to LA, but we got it. And that one still leaves me a bit like, woo.
So you guys, you have the album coming out. I want to press you on a couple of things. One, all I've seen is fall. Do we have a date?
Yes, September 13th. It's a Friday the 13th of September. And just to guilt trip people more into getting it, downloading it, whatever, it's the day after Rob's birthday.
So if you really want to be sweet to this new friend that we've all met together, that would be a lovely present. Just a thought, no pressure. And the tour, talk about what are the plans for the tour and how does that manifest? How does this album manifest on stage?
Oh, we have so many big plans and dreams for what we want to do live with it. I mean, again, when COVID was around and we were all locked up, we wanted to put on a full-on touring stage show, like where it would be members of the audience would be sitting on stage. It wouldn't be a traditional setup. It would be the bar in the town of Valentine and Afterglow. It would be a story kind of thing, but still a rock show. Obviously, we cannot be doing that on a regular basis at the minute. So we're actually announcing some shows today. They're just in the UK. They're like 3 album release shows. And then hopefully we'll be making our way back stateside very soon because we love it out there. We love the audiences. I think our favorite shows have all been in the States. Mm-hmm. And we've been very blessed with some of the venues that we've played and the memories that we've made. So very soon, hopefully, also hoping kind of full time, if not, Christmas Eve, we'll be coming back out to you guys. It's
a fun puzzle to try and figure out. If I'm being completely honest, we're not 100% sure how we're going to, or what special thing we're going to do on the tour yet. It's this whole project is, it sort of presented us with opportunities which we then sort of adjust and move around to. Like, we were trying to turn it into a TV show at one point, and we raised the funding to shoot like a proof of concept teaser, and that became the album announcement. And then we decided to make a web game, like an old 80s choose your own adventure web game, where if you click on the text, it walks you around the town of Valentine. So when you open certain doors, it will play songs. So it was that was trying to show people the concept of you can go different places in town and come across the little different bits of the song and stuff. So we haven't quite cracked the code of what we're going to do on this tour yet. We know we're going to play the album in full, and I don't know yet. We're going to find something to do that everybody's going to hate me for, but it's going to be. The last time somebody asked me what we were doing next, we ended up on an open-top bus with Tommy Thayer.
Come Around is the single out now. We just got the breaking news, Afterglow September 13th for release date, and various multimedia extravaganzas to follow.
Absolutely. Yes. This is the goal. This is the plan. We're very last minute, but we get it done.
Sydney Ray White, Rob Kendrick. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. I feel like we are among the early adopters for the Wild Things. We're very excited to see what the future brings for you guys. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
A lot of fun. Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. In this last segment here, as always, we can't let the show go by without our new music picks. Got some cool stuff. Roger, you want to start us off?
Sure. My new music pick this week comes from Sugarland, who have an EP out called There Goes the Neighborhood. I'm kind of a recent fan of Sugarland. I've always been a fan of Jennifer Nettles and her voice. She's always wound up on cool duets that I love. Both songs she's done with Bon Jovi. She did Who Says You Can't Go Home, which was a massive hit. Then they did another song that came out during COVID. And she does a great song with our friend Matt Nathanson called Run, which is a great duet that they do. So in listening to all of that, I started listening to Sugarland, and they're really, really good. And they just have this great balance of pop, fun, up-tempo country songs and these amazing ballads. And this EP kind of does all of that as well in 4 songs. I guess the lead track is There Goes the Neighborhood, but the track I'm picking for our new music picks this week is a song called Georgia Is Yours, and it is a beautiful ballad. It's a breakup song, but oh my God, she is good.
Such a beautiful ballad singer. I know when you told me you were listening to this, I was like, Stay, which was the big hit.
Yes.
Once Upon a Time. Such a magnificent song. I love that you're coming around to all this,
That's you. That's your influence, Alan.
Really
stuff. You said you were listening to the new Keith Urban.
Yeah.
Yep. I know you have history. I know this isn't brand new, but I like that you're catching up on some of this stuff.
Yeah, no, and really digging into this new EP by Sugarland and going back into their catalog. So that's what I have for new music this week.
All right. What do you got, Alan?
I got a bunch of weird stuff this week.
Yay.
So first thing I will mention, and we've mentioned this band before, a new album called Flight B741 from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, these freaks from Australia who are exhausting, who it is impossible to keep up with. A couple of years ago, they did 6 or 7 albums in a year. That was 1 year of work from them. And everything is completely different. I mean, they sort of exist in jam band world, but they're very proggy sometimes, very psychedelic, sometimes sort of electronic, like super experimental, and just doing stuff all the time. There are people I know who are really obsessed with this band. They're playing at Forest Hill Stadium this Friday. And I understand being obsessed with them. Most of it doesn't work for me, but I get that if you're on board, you're all the way on board, and like wherever they're going to go, you're in. And then every once in a while, they'll put stuff out and a song will show up on a playlist and I'll be like, man, I really like that. And that happened this week. This album, in keeping with their ridiculous history, is basically a sort of 70s rock album, some sort of Americana, like Little Feat band kind of stuff. A lot of Stones feel to it, some like Wings feel on some songs. And I'm going to go with one called Field of Vision. Very glam rock, very like T-Rex, Slade, stomping, dumb kind of glam rock, big chanting song that's super fun. So I'm mystified by them. That's kind of the point of their project. But give this song Field of Vision from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard a listen. My second song this week is from a young singer named Nolene Hoffman, country singer. If you've heard the name, it's because she sang on the most recent Zach Bryan album. She duetted on the Purple Gas song that was kind of a hit. And she's 20 years old. She's from Western Canada, I think from Alberta, and a really interesting voice. This song, it kind of reminds me of like the early Dwight Yoakam stuff, where it's very traditional honky-tonk, piano and fiddles, but kind of a modern voice on top of that. She's got this kind of throaty, sort of laconic delivery that I just can't, like, it's really strong hook. I listened to this song a whole bunch. That's called Lightning in July. And I know there's an album coming. I know there's some dates coming later in the year, but I really like this song. Was, again, noticed the name from the Zach Bryan duet, gave this a listen, and think if that sort of, very traditional country, but doesn't feel old fashioned, if that's the stuff that works for you, I like this one a lot. And finally, hey, on Friday, there was a new EP from Tori Amos that did not get mentioned anywhere.
I was surprised to see this on your list today.
Yes, couldn't find one mention, couldn't find anything anywhere. Somehow, I don't know, I saw somebody posted, hey, there's new Tori Amos music. So it's 5 songs. The EP is called White Telephone to God. As with many things Tori, just kind of weird stuff. Not really one, theme that I can find or sound or strum. I'm not sure what these songs are, but maybe there's something there I didn't pick up on a couple of listens. I will mention a song called Cloud Riders that's a little bit more sort of atmospheric, a little more sort of vibey that's on there. The title song is hilarious. It's kind of, I'm getting old. It's a piano song. It's sort of, I'm getting old, thinking about what's going to happen to me. Here's all the foods I need to stop eating. And then a long grocery list. Like, that's pretty much what that song is. Like, I got to negotiate what I can still keep eating out of all of that. And then like verses full of just food. So we love you, Tori. And Cloud Riders from White Telephone to God is my final pick for the week. So
is that what happens to songwriters as they get older? They start to write about, I can't eat this anymore.
It's very much that.
I love that. And I guess time for Tori to fire her publicist, because what the hell?
Or
label or
not
something.
Intended for, I don't know, but I couldn't find one thing about this other than there are 5 new songs from Tori.
Right. I'm shocked. But now that I know that it's out there, I'm going to go look for it, which I hope everybody does now that you've mentioned it. I'll follow up with just one. The lead vocalist with Sigur Rós, which is an Icelandic band that I love, Jonsi, has a new album called First Light. And he's released a couple of songs from it already. The 30th is when the full album is going to be out. He has teamed up with this music and wellness platform. This is a platform that I've sort of known about and been hitting every so often, called Mindstream. They've teamed up with them for this record. Initially, It was a video game score, and Mindstream is releasing it in partnership with the label Lakeshore. And Jonsi, this track, Undercurrent, just one of a bunch of tracks on this album. It's very chill. There's no vocals. It's an instrumental piece. And this isn't usually where I would go for a pick in this situation today, but it just got me. I listened to it over and over through the weekend, and wow, it just has a great feel to it. Jonsi says, writing this music at a time of man-made global turmoil and unrest for a video game, I imagined First Light as a momentary, fantastical, over-the-top utopian world where everyone and everything lives together in everlasting peace and harmony. I want to go to there.
All right. Not a thing wrong with that.
Undercurrent. That is the name of the new tune. The 30th is when the full record is out. All right. So what you need to do if you want to check out any of the music we've been talking about, you have to go to our Sound Up soundtrack playlist over on Spotify. You can check it out there. And we're wrapping up this edition. Don't forget to go to sounduppod.com and sign up for our special Sound Up Summer Live taping. Hello, our special summer live taping. It's happening Monday, August 19th, 6 p.m. Eastern. So go to the site now.
It's been a minute since we've done an episode with you guys. Summertime, hard to get scheduled, breaks, vacations. So here is your chance to once again come on the podcast live, talk to us about your favorite musical moments, concerts, summer events, Olympics, whatever's on your mind next week, whatever you want to yell at us about, whatever you want to bring to the public's attention, whatever you want to ask, please come and join us next Monday, August 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern, and sign up at sounduppod.com.
Don't forget, too, to check us out on all socials and YouTube. We're up on YouTube now for exclusive content, full video episodes, and more, all at Sound Up Pod.
Don't forget to give us a 5-star review, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube page, and sign up for next week's special live episode on Sound Up.
That's a lot of assignments. I hope you got it all. Hope you wrote it down. I'm Mark Goodman, and we're going to wrap it up here, and we will look for you next week on Sound Up.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti for Roger That Media, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. For more information, go to sounduppod.com.